under the glimmering lights of the Vegas Strip. A night was brewing that would showcase the purity of boxing's two extremes, beauty and brutality. The crowd inside the Mandalay Bay Event Center roared with a feverish anticipation as two men made their way to the squared circle, each representing a different continent, each carrying a legacy etched in grit and glory. From Japan came Nihito Arakawa, a relentless warrior with a heart that refused to wilt. A southpaw by design, but more importantly, a soldier by nature. No stranger to war, Arakawa had earned his nickname, the Japanese Rocky, not because he won every battle, but because he never stopped fighting them. Opposite him stood the elegant and lethal Jorge Linares, El Niño de Oro, the golden boy of Venezuela, a two-time world champion known for his surgical precision, ballet-like footwork, and hands that sliced the air like blades. Linares was not just a boxer, he was a craftsman, a man whose offensive rhythm flowed like Poe, but whose vulnerability made him human. This fight wasn't for a world title, but it was a statement. A WBC lightweight title eliminator. A chance at redemption for Linares, who had tasted greatness before, but also suffered brutal defeats that questioned his chin and his will. For Arakawa, it was another impossible climb up a mountain carved from granite fists. As the bell rang, the atmosphere turned electric. It was clear from the start. Linares was going to paint a masterpiece. But Arakawa? He was there to burn the canvas. The opening rounds were a boxing clinic. Jorge Linares danced. He weaved. He struck. The Venezuelan phenom was a blur, jabbing, pivoting, sliding out of reach before Arakawa could even reset. His punches were crisp, flowing in combinations of threes and fours, hooks to the body, uppercuts through the guard, and right hands that split the air like lightning bolts. Arakawa, though overwhelmed, refused to be dismissed. He moved forward with reckless devotion. As if the pain was fuel for his fire, Linares would land a clean left hook, and the Japanese brawler would nod in defiance, stepping through the storm to throw wide, looping punches. They weren't always clean, but they were relentless. By round 3, Linares was already showing signs of brilliance. He threw 70, 80 punches per round, mixing his attacks with sharp bodywork and angle changes that left Arakawa swinging at ghosts. Yet, the Japanese warrior never stopped pressing. With every shot absorbed, Arakawa continued to push Linares onto the back foot, testing his endurance and threatening to turn the tide. The crowd could feel it. This wasn't going to be easy. Linares was winning, but he wasn't safe. Even the commentary team was caught in awe. One called it a showcase of Linares' offensive perfection, but another warned, "We've seen him fade before." Arakawa's pressure is not just physical, it's mental. As the bell ended round 4, sweat flew from both warriors. Linares had painted brilliance on the canvas, but Arakawa was erasing it, one bloody step at a time. Round 5 came like a whisper of doubt. Linares, still composed, continued to slice Arakawa with clean textbook punches. The left uppercut had become his weapon of choice, a surgical tool that snapped Arakawa's head back repeatedly. Yet, there was something haunting in the Japanese fighter's eyes. He wasn't discouraged. He was inspired. The punishment should have broken him, but instead, it seemed to drive him forward. Arakawa pressed harder, refusing to let Linares breathe. With every jab Linares landed, Arakawa responded with a charge. With every hook to the body, he bit down and returned fire. His face began to swell, but his feet never stopped. By the middle rounds, the crowd had shifted. What started as admiration for Linares' precision was turning into respect for Arakawa's sheer will. He wasn't winning rounds, but he was winning hearts. Then came a moment, a head clash. Blood began to pour from a cut above Linares' right eye. The elegance had met chaos. The perfect boxer was suddenly in a storm. His corner worked furiously. Time slowed. Would Linares unravel again? Would history repeat itself? The cut had changed everything. Though still ahead on the cards, Jorge Linares was bleeding, and Arakawa smelled vulnerability. The 6th and 7th round saw the pressure double. Arakawa threw punches like he was possessed, body shots that echoed through the ring, and hooks that barely missed. Linares held, barely. The ring was no longer his stage. It was a battlefield. The masterpiece was starting to crack. The 8th and 9th rounds turned into trench warfare. Linares, despite the cut and the swelling, summoned everything within him to hold the line. His footwork slowed, but his combinations remained dangerous, sharp bursts of brilliance that reminded everyone why he was still considered elite. But Arakawa, he kept walking, like a ghost, like a man who didn't understand the meaning of surrender. They traded shots in close quarters, chest to chest. Linares would land a clean right hand, and Arakawa would follow it with a hook to the ribs. Blood poured from Linares' eye, but so did determination. He fought through pain, through panic, through the ghosts of past collapses. The ring announcer had long gone quiet, the crowd mesmerized. This wasn't just a fight, it was war, and yet somewhere in the brutality, respect blossomed. Between the rounds, the fighters nodded at each other. A silent language was exchanged, one of respect, pain, and warriorhood. Linares may have had the edge in skill, but Arakawa, he had the soul of a lion. The cut could have ended it. The pressure could have broken him, but Linares stood tall. As the bell rang for the 10th and final round, the arena stood too. A standing ovation for two men who had given everything they had. This was no longer about scorecards. This was about legacy. Round 10 was a celebration of courage. Jorge Linares, with blood in his eye and exhaustion in his bones, came forward. Arakawa, still marching through fire, met him in the center. They traded with fury. They smiled through the pain. It was as if they knew this was the round they would be remembered for. With every punch, the crowd exploded. A left uppercut from Linares, a right hook to the body from Arakawa. Clinches turned into shoves, breaks turned into resets. Both men were running on hard. In the final 30 seconds, Linares let his hands go, firing a 5-punch combo that snapped Arakawa's head back. But the Japanese warrior, unbelievably, roared and returned fire, staggering Linares with a looping shot. And then, the bell. The crowd erupted. The arena stood in respect. The two warriors embraced, their faces battered, but their spirits unbroken. The scorecards were red, unanimous for Jorge Linares. But that night, two men were victorious. Linares had proven he could weather a storm, silence the doubts, and walk through fire. Arakawa proved that heart can turn even a loss into legend. It was a fight that would echo in boxing's history, a fight that wasn't just won with fists, but with soul.